Hi everybody, this is Maureen Wong from mycasestudies.blogspot.com. Today I'm going to be making this Your Awesome Stacked Cats card. And I just wanted to let you know before we get to the video that I had actually filmed a little bit about how I made the mask. It's a kind of special little way to make a mask, and I talked way too much in that, and after I finished filming the video I thought of an even better way to make the mask so that it's reusable an infinite number of times, and I'm gonna be filming that video and posting it very soon. But I had to cut out all that beginning part that I had filmed from the video, so it starts kind of awkwardly, like I'm in mid-sentence or something. So I just wanted to warn you about that. But it does have the whole making of the card, so I hope you enjoy it. Let's get started. And I'm gonna be making a template like I did with my Masking Made Easy video. I'm gonna make a guide. I forget what I called it, a pattern or a blueprint or something, because what I want is, I'm stamping this cat, and this is from the Mama Elephant 3 Amigos set, which I just adore. And it looks like I didn't clean off my cat stamp, so I'm gonna have to do that. But basically what I want is, I want one cat here at the bottom with just his eyes and nose showing, and then I'm gonna have another cat standing on his head. And because I want a really specific placement of that bottom cat, and this is the one that needs to be stamped first, that's why I'm making the pattern. So I have just a piece of scrap cardstock, and this is gonna stand in for my bottom corner of my card, and I'm gonna stick that in the MISTI. And what I need to do is stick it in the top corner because I am stamping off. And then what I need to do is put something behind there so that I don't get the ink on my foam pad. So I'm just using a little, one of my bumpers, and I actually want to put that all the way underneath so that I don't get an edge underneath there. So now what I'm going to do is position my cat just the way I want it, and actually I'm going to do it a little bit out here because I don't want it right at the edge of the card. So I'm going to place that exactly where I want it, and then stick it to my MISTI. And again, I'm going to stamp with Memento ink and stamp that down, and that is just how I wanted my cat. Now I'm going to clean off my stamp. And remember, when you're making your pattern, you don't need to use the mask because this isn't going to be the finished product. So now I'm going to move my kitty and put it on top of that other cat. And I don't want her standing too far into his face. So let me put her there. And I'm going to pick that up. And you don't have to use your MISTI for making your pattern. I'm just doing it because I really love my MISTI, and I feel like I need to use it for everything because it just does such a perfect job. But you could go ahead and just stamp this by hand with blocks and position it however you want it, because that's not the finished product, that's just our plan. And now what I'm gonna do is clean off my stamp again, and then I'm gonna start stamping my card. Okay, so I don't need, actually no, I do need my bumper still yet because I'm going to be stamping off the edge of my card. So let me clean off my bumper. just to make sure that the ink doesn't transfer to my card. And check my fingers. My fingers are always dirty. I'm forever getting little ink splotches because of my fingers being dirty. So here's my card. It's just a plain A2 size card that I've already scored and folded. And I'm going to put this in the corner, the top corner. I'm going to hold that down with a magnet, and then I'm going to place my bumper over here to catch the overstamp, and I'm putting it just so I can get the overstamp, and it should be enough not to cause a line. It should be high enough not to cause a line that will cause an uneven stamp. And so now I just place my pattern, and it turns out that I left enough room on this side that I can just use it like this, and I am going to hold that down with the magnet now, and then position my cat stamp. And remember, I said you need to stamp the top one first. That's why we needed to make the pattern, because I wanted to know exactly where I was stamping the bottom one after the top one. So you're going to line up your stamp exactly with that top kitty. Like so. And then pick her up, and I can move my template or my plan, my blueprint, whatever I was calling it, and ink up my cat with Memento ink. I'm going to be coloring this in. And that's my first kitty. Now what I'm going to do is turn off the camera and color this in. You don't need to watch me coloring. So I'm going to color that in and come back, and I'm going to overstamp it because I want that in VersaFine. You know how I love my VersaFine. So let me get that colored and I'll be right back. Okay, I finished coloring my first, or my top cat, and after looking at it, I decided that it doesn't need to be overstamped. I think the black is clear enough for my taste. So I'm just going to go ahead and stick this back in the MISTI, and I'm going to put down my mask. Please excuse me, I have a cold and that's why I sound funny. Okay, so there's my mask, and then I'm going to use my template, or my plan, to put down the bottom cat. So I'm gonna line that up exactly over my pattern and pick it up with the MISTI cover. Then I can remove the pattern, and using my Memento ink, I'm gonna stamp the bottom cat. And when I remove the mask, you can see how that bottom cat is perfectly placed, just how I wanted it, with just the eyes and nose and a little bit of the sign and the whiskers showing above the bottom of the card. And you can probably see it better if I actually take out the bumper. And there you go, that is my little stack o' cats. And so now I just need to color the bottom one and finish off the card. So once again, you don't need to watch me coloring. I will be right back. Okay, I finished coloring up the bottom cat, and you might notice that when I stamped it, I left in a little bit of the sign, the top of the sign on that cat, and then I thought, well, that kind of doesn't make sense that the bottom cat would be holding a sign when you can't even see it. So I went ahead and just trimmed off just a sliver of that bottom portion to cut the sign out, so it just looks like it's a regular sitting cat underneath a cat with a sign. Hope that makes sense. So don't be afraid to do little surgeries like that on your card. If it's not the perfect A2 size, your recipient isn't really going to notice or care. So I think that looks better to me, and that's how I'm going to leave it. Now the last thing for me to do is stamp my sentiment, and from that same set 3 Amigos, I'm using You're Awesome. And I know I have used this before, but I think you can never have enough You're Awesome cards to send to all your friends, because I'm assuming your friends, like mine, are all awesome. So here we go. I'm gonna position that right there in the middle, and you know, I'm just a little bit not sure that I positioned that correctly, so I'm gonna get an imaging sheet out and just make sure that that is how I want it before I stamp it on my card, because no use doing all this work and then stamping your sentiment and figuring out that you don't like it the way it is. So I'm just going to take an extra couple of seconds to stamp it out to make sure that's really where I want it. And yes, that is not where I want it. So I'm going to clean off my stamp and I'm going to move it over just a little bit, because the awesome is kind of on the cat's paw. So let me move that and make sure that I'm not putting it on the cat's paw, because I do have more room on the other side of the sign. And let me stick that down. Wait, let me make sure that's straight too. That looks a little bit crooked. Okay. Once again, I'm going to use my imaging sheet, and I'm just going to use another corner of it. Stamp with my VersaFine ink and test it out. And that is perfect. So now I'm going to stamp my image for real. And there we go. You're awesome. Okay, and then I have a couple more things that I'm going to do to this card, because I am actually playing along with a challenge today with this card, and it's the Less is More challenge blog. And what it was, the challenge this week is to CAS, which means pretty much copy, one of the DT's works, and I picked this cute one, and one of the other details it had, or it has a couple more details. Let me put away my Misty. One of the details is it has a hand-drawn frame around it. So I'm just going to take, this is a Becky Higgins Project Life pen. You can use whatever you want. Actually, this is a size 3, and I think I want it fatter than that. So let me get my size 5. This is a Zig Millennium, and I'm just going to draw a really crooked little frame around the edge of this card. Okay, just like that. And then the very last thing was she had some baker's twine wrapped around the top, and I feel like using plain white twill because I just love those little cats. I don't want to take anything much away from them, so I'm just going to use a piece of twill, white twill. I think this is the 3/8 inch twill, maybe. And I'm going to tie that in a knot. Not a bow, because even a bow would kind of steal the attention away. So I'm just going to do that, and I'm going to take my ribbon scissors and cut off those ends at an angle. Oops, I made that one a little bit smaller, so let's just cut this one down too. Okay, so there is the finished card, and I hope you enjoyed my video and maybe learned a little something from it, and I hope to see you over at my blog at mycasestudies.blogspot.com. Thank you very much for watching.